Memoirs of a Psychopath, Chapter 34, Communists in Outer Space, Isabella Davis, The Buzz Files Uncovered. A foreword by Dr. Gabriel A. 13. Anatomy is 99.999999% recurring, empty space. If we removed all of the empty space from within the human body, our entire species, that is to say every person on Earth, we would now be no bigger in size than that of a single sugar cube. Isabella's madness, her descent into chaos, has, as many a mortal genius would agree, has given us a work of wonder, for Communists in Outer Space is so much more than a generic study of quantum or astrophysics. It's a work of pure genius, of absolute splendour. The truth is examined in magnitude. Produced while held in captivity, who are we to say what is fiction or what is fact? What matters is that for Isabella, for here lies the truth, a truth that has inevitably cost her dearly. History is filled with those whom hold accounts of divine experience, holiness explained. The prophets Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Jesus and Moses, and countless others have all heard the divine word of instruction, as I, Gabriella, too. But there, in Isabella's own account, we learn for the first time of a new, undiscovered prophets, those of the socialists. Having completed her PhD, psychopic husbandry, it may be argued that further studies into time and space travel, or telepathy and telekinesis, was inevitable. Constraints and restrictions cannot be put onto the young, inquiring scientist's mind, for her mind was opened and it received. But what has it received? For here within her text, the history of socialism is now completely rewritten. The godless communist is now given faith, faith and belief that their own determination to conquer, destroyed. Are there communists out there in outer space? Are there dead souls trapped within the walls of Buzz? Here, Isabella answers that question. Litchfield 2. Litchfield 2. Do you copy? Over. Litchfield 2. This is Michael 3. Update. Do you receive? Over. The base station Michael 3 had desperately, but in vain, though repeatedly without interruption, tried to contact the Litchfield, but now after several hours without contact, it was all too apparent that their mission had failed. Litchfield 2, a code name used for two anarchist Starlingus agents on Earth. They had vowed to destroy the regime at all cost. Had they now paid dearly with their own lives? Michael 3, an outpost of the frozen Column 7 within the deep Marxan spaceway CC-14, was now helpless to act further, without reliable agents on Earth who could now be able to stop the Zhishkovites, the armed guerrillas and right hand of the Bulgarian socialist and totalitarian leader Todor Zhivkov. Leninite had ordered the closure of the chamber, destroy if necessary, deactivate and neutralize immediately. But contact with Earth was now over. Their socialist revolution was failing. Orders to stop deatomization had failed. How now? How would the Zhishkovites be stopped? Michael 3 continued to broadcast, desperately, radunus after radunus, but contact could not be re-established. Any second now they would arrive, the socialists of Earth, free to attack and plunder. Michael 3 had issued the Act 173A to decommission all receivers throughout the known galaxies, but was it too late? Had the Zhishkovite forces already transported? It was during the early hours of a Friday morning that I first heard these voices. It doesn't matter which, I don't really recall a date. My medical research at the Buzz facility had been stopped abruptly, and I was now held in captivity. It appears that I had upset someone very powerful, somewhere over something. But when you stop working, step out of the rat race, take a moment for yourself, the peace and quiet of it all, well, it's only then when you start to hear things. You tune into what you were previously oblivious of before. And I do swear that this is what I heard, a truth sent to me from beyond. I cannot explain further. I truly can't, as I don't understand myself. The medical field is easy. It's all about substantiating fact, medical trials, the records and statistics, and fact is the most essential part of my research, discovering the proof needed to uphold my theories, to back them up, to make them concrete, unshakable. And it was I, Isabella Davis, PhD, who first proved beyond all reasonable doubt that a psychopath cannot be created, and this despite all my hard work and efforts. No, it was impossible. It is purely a genetic thing. DNA undoubtedly, for psychopaths are born psychotic, and my psychopic husbandry, studies and experiments were all too well documented, though they are no longer in my possession. Perhaps this unexplained confinement was my destiny, as others throughout time had themselves retreated to isolate themselves on mountains or in deep hidden caves, on sea-locked islands to find God. Had I now been sealed inside my own cave, a round concrete tomb? Was Buzludza so much more than it had first appeared? Indeed, I questioned my own sanity, as I'm sure Moses himself did. But that is where faith develops. You cannot prove it, but you know it to be true. I'm sure there are many scientists out there who too believe, Christians, Muslims or Jews, even Buddhists and Hindus. For I too now believe. I believe in the final words of the prophet, Dimitar Blagoeth. I was told how loyal members of the party, only those true to Todor Zhivkov and his regime, had paid financially for the construction of Buzludza, and this payment was a one-way fare to another world, right now secured and guaranteed by the Communist Party. Many others, the farmers and workers, had also donated, but these loyal party members had paid substantially above the general requirement and way beyond the publicly acknowledged one-lever donation for the cause. A public fundraising cover for something much more sinister. As the Earth's socialist revolution was failing, and anything other than the communists were now in actual fact maintaining power, the Soviets and their puppets had much greater need to fulfill. Space. It was O'Neill and Richter that had discovered the bodies of the Litchfield 2. O'Neill was a technician with responsibility for the quarter, and Richter, a charger. The Hadron, accordingly, was sectioned in 4 parts. The quarter simply referred to the first section facing northward, and a charger's role was to input the collide codes upon startup. The discovery of the brutalized bodies was reported to the command immediately. Both Litchfield agents, Rebecca and Danny, had been severely beaten before being shot. The senior command consisted of House Marshal Villette and Commander-in-Charge Haroud. Both were the sons of French partisans, documented heroes of World War II. O'Neill reported on the obvious facts of the incident, and Richter was more than happy to provide witness to the day's accounts. Undoubtedly, information had been sought from the victims before being executed, but by whom? Leach was an old radio hand, a decoder. He had been given the task of re-establishing a link with Marcus, a link that had been unilaterally and quite intentionally cut off by the Marxists previously. Indeed, it had been done for many years. It was not for him to reason why. This task he had only very recently achieved, and since this time, most, if not all, of the party elite and loyal followers had all entered the chamber. Deatomization had commenced, and many thousands had by now been coded down. Written documentation would later emerge in China to support this fact. Yang, an eminent female astrophysicist and writer, would add within her new book a travel guide called Space Hoppers and Interstellar Compression. It is without doubt that we have succeeded. A guide such as this will soon prove itself to be vital. Daily I fell to the floor, prostrate, receiving and bearing witness to the broadcasts of Michael III, and what I learned of the new truths I now document for you here. For the final transmissions of Leninite have spoken to us, the work of those great minds, Cotter, Tager and Massman, as they had broadcast from Michael III, are revealed to earth below, and if you ever take time yourself to listen, to open your heart, mind and soul, you too will hear. Little is known of what happened between the period reactivation and deatomization, but folklore and belief as widely acknowledged in many Balkan households today strongly suggest that those left behind, upon realizing what the Zhivkovites had achieved, completed the Litchfield mission. An old Bulgarian storyteller by the name of Hare regularly tells us, the believers amongst us of communist souls now lost in space, cut off between both worlds and forever in a spiritual limbo, and as if they had all somehow transported but never arrived. The regime that was left here on Earth, now brought down by the forces of freedom and democracy, just a mere physical duplicate, a clone of its original human carbon housing, but now for all eternity drifting in purgatory through outer space. For that is how the psychopath is created. I'm sure of it. That deep matter of atom space, the soul, removed and a human shell recreate elsewhere without it. Maybe. But for now, let me remind you that a British film crew recently visited the site. Garrett Archer, Florence, Mason, Woodcock. I studied them for quite some time. They too now believe. For the film, Lost Contact does in some way, I suppose, try to explore the truth. They too must have heard the voices of the lost souls of Buzludza. I wanted to invite them downstairs for dinner, but I think Gabriella may have eaten them. Communists in Outer Space. From me, Memoirs of a Psychopath, the definitive edition.
He breathes, he still lives on a Balkan mountainside, drowning in blood, his smothered battle cries, mortal wound in his chest, a hero lies. Rifle cast to the side, the sword broken in two, his eyes blasted, flashing ahead, cursing what is ours, heaven ahead. Fallen one lies, no deep disguise, baking beneath angry sunshine. A hearty girl sings in pastures today, as his blood drains faster and faster, seeps away. Let me hear you sing your harvest songs, sing of freedom, be strong. Sing for me, slave girl, all beauty sing. Last beat of my heart, I pray you sing. Sing of Haji Damida. His wound. High above the heroic falcon flies, protecting our living heroes too. When evening comes upon the cover of moonlight, and under a star-studded dark, as wind blows and woodland rustle, hark the falcons sing. The beauties of a nation dressed in angelic white, sing of sacrifice throughout the night. Through forests they scramble to sing within the fallen hero's sight. See how the beautiful binds his wounds with herbs, another with water fresh. A third kneels, a lip to a legend's mouth, gazes back, absent of doubt. Tell me, sister, but tell me, sister, but tell me, sister, where is Karaja? Karaja, Karaja, what of my men? But tell me, sister, but tell me, sister, but tell me, sister, for if not, I beg of you, leave me die here with them.